Hey, horror fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser G, and today I'm going to continue my Saw series with going with Saw 3 now. Once again, Saw 3, this came out in 2016. This was directed by Darrell Lynn Bosom from a screenplay from Lin Whannell. He went on ahead to write this one. It was also a story by James Wan and Whannell himself. Of course, this is the third installment of the Saw franchises, and once again, it stars Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, once again, as John Kramer, Jigsaw, and Amanda. We have Agnes McFadden is in this one here too. We have someone by the name of Bakar Sukim, I might be mispronouncing that, and Diane Mayer. We also get appearances by Costas Bandalar and Betsy Russell. They play Detective Hoffman and Jill Tuck. They don't have many appearances in this film, but they do become particularly good. Uh, they become very good characters as the series progresses. Now, basically, obviously, with the huge success of Saw 2, Lionsgate immediately greenlit this film. Filming took place in Toronto from May to June 2006. Winnell said that he aimed to make the story more emotional than previous installments, particularly with the Amanda and Jigsaw storyline. Now, I think he really accomplished that with this film. Saw 3 was released once again right around October 26th for Halloween, and that's when we start. I think this was the series where we started hearing if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. I think I have to research that and find out. Um, it grossed 33.6 million in its opening release, and that grossed 80.2 million in North America. It became the highest grossing film in the series in the international market as well. Once again, Tobin Bell was nominated for Best Villain in the 2007 MTV Movie Awards, and he received a Saturn Award for Best Horror Film and a Teen Choice Award as well. Now, as far as my particular personal opinion, this is when the series fell a little flat to me. Not to saying that Saw 3 isn't good, but I felt the series took a little nosedive in here. I don't know if it was because of the writing or the fact that, when we get a third part of the series, we know that the series starts to wane a bit when it comes to the third part of the series. Now, it's not a bad film. I still think it was a very good entry into the series. Just wasn't as good as the first and second Saw. And I'm not blaming Will or James or Darren. It's just that I think at this time we start to feel a little Saw. I think we're getting some Saw fatigue when this film came out. But that's basically what my opinion is. This is not one of the better of the Saws. I'm not saying that this is the worst, but this is not one of the better ones. Now, the film opens up if this guy in a classroom and he's got chains all throughout his face. He's got chains embedded in his chest, chains embedded all over the place. He's got this huge big chain nose pin on his head. I believe the guy's name is Troy. The guy's name is Troy. And he plays the tape, and this is what Jigsaw tells him. Hello, Troy. I want to play a game. This game will take place in a room not much bigger than the room you spent most of your life in a prison cell. Despite all the advantages and privileges you were given at birth, you have returned to a prison again and again. More comfortable in chains than you are in freedom, tonight you will show me how far you're willing to break those chains once and for all. Live or die. Make your choice. So, of course, Troy starts freaking out. He has no clue what's happening. He has no clue where he is. He's in some real dingy, dilapidated classroom, and he's got chains all over the place. And he doesn't have long because there's a nail bomb in the room there. So he starts pulling the chains off. Now, keep in mind, this stuff is attached to his skin, so he has to rip this off of his skin. And believe it or not, he actually gets out of the trap. But there's a problem. The door's welded shut. He can't get out. He can't get out. He looks, he knows it, and of course the nail gun goes off, and he's splattered all over the place. And we find out that that's not really a jigsaw trap. Jigsaw always gives you a way to escape the trap, and for some reason there was no escape, meaning he was going to die. no matter if he got rid of if he pulled off all the chains off of himself or he didn't. He was going to die. At the crime scene, we see Lieutenant Daniel Riggs and detectives Mark Hoffman. This is his first in the scene, and of course, Allison Carey, who's been in all three Saw films. Carey is a bit guilt-ridden because Eric Matthews has not been found. We don't know where he is or what's happening. Um, but when she notices that the door is bolted shut, she knows that's not part of Jigsaw's MO. Jigsaw always gives his victim a chance to survive, and we know that something is wrong. Later that night, while she is reviewing a videotape in her home, she notices that it's looking at her home, and then somebody with a pig face comes and abducts her. And the next thing we know, poor Carrie Allison is in one of Jigsaw's traps. Now, when Carrie comes to, she finds out she's in some weird trap where she's suspended above, and I say about almost a foot in the air. She's in some type of trap where she's got some type of harness attached to her rib case, and there is a glass or flask where the key is suspended, but obviously that doesn't look like water. Now, eventually, she sees a tape there, and this tape is played for Carrie. Hello, Carrie. I want to play a game. Up until now, you spent your life among the dead, placing together their final moments. You're good at this because you, like them, are also dead. Dead on the inside. You've identified more with a cold corpse than you do with a human being. I believe you want to join your true family, indeed your only family, in death. The device you're wearing is hooked to your ribcage, and by the time this plate is finished, you'll have 1 minute to find a way out. At the end of the minute, you should know better than anyone what happens then. There is a simple key that will unlock the harness. Carrie is right in front of you. All you have to do is reach and take it. But do it quickly. The acid will dissolve the key in a matter of seconds. Make your choice. Live or die. Now, it isn't for long that Carrie decides to go on ahead and try to grab the key, and even though it's very painful to put your hand in a jar full of acid while it dissolves your skin, it's very painful, but Carrie does get the key. Unfortunately, just like with the other trap, there's no way in the world she can unhook the harness in time, and of course, the trap is sprung with less than a minute, and her rib cage is exploded and looks like kind of an angel. That's why it's called the angel trap. But there's something going wrong with these traps. These traps are meant to kill. And Jigsaw doesn't do these traps to kill people. He's trying to teach you a lesson that if you can survive this, perhaps you can change your life. But these traps are simply just killing people. That means that someone is not following Jigsaw's modus operandi, or they're devising their own trap similar to Jigsaw, but not giving them a way out. Now, at the same time, what's happening is obviously Jigsaw, he's dying. The cancer has really ravaged his body. He is now bedridden, and Amanda is afraid that she is going to die. So eventually, they kidnap a well-known surgeon. Her name is Lynn Denton, from the hospital, and she is brought into the facility where Jigsaw and Amanda are there right now. Eventually, they place some type of device around her neck while she is restrained, and Amanda puts this around her neck, and she activates the signal and tells her that this device is attached to Jigsaw's heart monitor. If you go too far, the signal will degrade and then the device will go off. Now, there are like several shotgun shells lined up around her neck, and obviously they all go off. Her whole face is going to get blown off. So if she goes too far away, where the signal will deactivate and spring the trap, if somehow Jigsaw's heart stops at the same time, it will also activate the trap as well. Now, at the same time, we get another tape, and this is what Jigsaw tells to Lynn. Hello, Lynn. I want to play a game. The rules of the game are simple. The consequences for breaking them are great. Death. You are being tested. Your will is being tested. The will to keep someone alive. Can you do that? Can you follow the rules and grant someone the gift of life? The device you weared is linked to my heart monitor. The second that the heart monitor flatlines or you move out of range, an explosion will go off the collar. Your life and my life will end simultaneously. Now, also going on at the same time, we get to see Jeff Delton, I believe his name is Jeff Delton. Jeff Delton also has been abducted, and he's in this some type of facility, and we get to hear Jigsaw mention a test to. Give me a second here. Yeah, get a mention to Jeff's tape. Now, keep in mind, before I go on to what Jigsaw tells him again, Jeff, uh, he's full of vengeance and anger. His son was killed 3 years ago prior to the events happening right now. We find out that his son was killed by a drunk driver. Fortunately, the drunk driver was only sentenced to a very minimum sentence. He was full of rage and anger, and that got to the attention of Jigsaw. And this is what Jigsaw tells Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Over the past few years, you have become a shell of yourself, consumed with hatred and vengeance. Vengeance against the drunk driver who killed your only son. Vengeance against the killer, whom, to your surprise and dismay, was set free after a hasty trial. Today, however, it is you who will be put on trial. To escape from who you are, you will have to face a series of tests. You will have to suffer to move forward through each of them. But for each one, you will also have a chance to forgive. When you complete these tests, I promise you, you'll finally come face to face with the man responsible for the loss of your child. That will be your ultimate test. Can you forgive him? You better hurry, though. In 2 hours, the doors will lock, and this place will become your tomb. This is what you've been waiting for, Jeff. Let the games begin. Now, like I said before, this Jeff Denton, he's suffering from severe depression after the death of his 8-year-old son, Dylan, who was killed by a drunk driver. And right now, he is in this large facility where he doesn't know where he's at. He got abducted. I think Amanda kidnapped him, just like she kidnapped Dr. Lynn. And eventually, he's going to have to go through a series of tests to find out whether he can forgive or take the vengeance out on the people who are responsible for the death of his son. So he's going to have to go through a series of tests, as does Dr. Lynn also has to go to a test in order to keep Jigsaw alive while he's doing this final game. And this is basically the whole plot of Saw 3 is. We see Jeff, he's going through some tests. We have Dr. Lynn. Her job is to keep Jigsaw alive because he wants his legacy to continue, or he has one last game to play before the cancer consumes him. Now, the first test Jeff goes into, there is a woman who is practically butt naked in some type of cold room. There are 2 pipes connected to her, and she's strung up real high. And this is the tape that is played when he enters the room. Welcome to your first test, Jeff. Welcome to your first test, Jeff. For the past 3 years, you've cursed the name of those you thought were responsible for the death of your son. You fascinated with those accountable will pay. Well, you'll find that woman in front of you in the chains in place. This will prevent her from running, much like she did on the day your son was hit. Her name is Danica Scott. She was the only witness present to the scene of your son's ultimate demise, and not for her own selfish absorption and cowardness, she could have brought your son's killer to justice. Now it is you who has a chance to bring her to justice. You alone can grant her the gift of life before she freezes to death. Behind the pipes in the back of the wall, you'll find the key that will free her and bring you one step closer to the man responsible to the loss of your child. Will you claim the keys to save your own self, or can you find yourself to save another? Make your choice. Now, basically, this is a very fiendish trap. Basically, in certain intervals, cold water is splashed onto this woman, and it is very cold. The water is cold, and it's also starting to coat pieces of ice on her. And like I said, she's literally butt naked. Now, what Jeff can do in order to save her is that he can go behind these 2 pieces of I think 2 blocks, and there's fans on them, and there's a key up there. But the only problem is that if he tries to get the key, his face will stick up. Well, his face will stick because the whole thing is very cold. It might be below 0, and it really could damage him more if he can't get the key. And and of course, Danica, she's begging him to save him, and she was sorry. And Jeff saying, well, you let my son die. You could have put him to jail. Eventually, she freezes to death because he can't get the key without, because I think he reaches for the key, starts peeling off skin off his whatchamacallit, starts peeling skin off his face. But by the time he does get the key, she's literally frozen to death. So unfortunately, she's dead, and unfortunately, he does get the key. But Annika Scott has nothing more than an icicle. Now, while all this is going on, we have a confrontation between Amanda and Dr. Lynn, and we see that Amanda is starting to not believe in Jigsaw's legacy. She feels as though that the people are not actually changing, and that's not the way. The people are not changing, and Jigsaw's method is not working. And then we get a philosophy, some type of difference between Amanda and Jigsaw, and that's what we're seeing in between those two while Jeff is going through his test. And Amanda still, Amanda, I believe, is getting jealous because Jigsaw is showing her a lot of attention. And then there's one scene where when Jigsaw, she has to perform an operation on Jigsaw, and Jigsaw starts to hallucinate, or gets delirious, and he has a hallucination thinking he is seeing his wife, Joe Tuck, and he says that he loves her, and that really drives Amanda crazy. And obviously, Amanda is still not ready to deal with any type of emotion, or she feels jealousy towards Dr. Lynn because she believes that Jigsaw should love her because she's the one that's doing all this work for him. So now we're on to the second test, and this time he is in this big room where there's this big circular pit, and excuse me, when the camera pans in, we see this man in a suit, and he's in this vat, and we see above there's some type of conveyor belt, and we see a whole bunch of pig carcasses all in the way. When the door slams shut, all of a sudden the contraption starts to roll, and all of a sudden these pig carcasses gets grinded up and spewed into this vat, and it's real stinky, it's real mess, it's real thick gray stinking coal, and if the guy doesn't get out too soon, he's probably going to drown in it. And this is the tape that Jigsaw plays for Jeff. He tells him, Jeff, when the judge presiding over your sentence your boy's murder so lightly, your soul never recovered. Now you have the power to sentence his soul straight to hell, or you could forgive. The key that will free him is hidden inside your son's possessions you have clung so far too long. If you flip the switch on the incinerator beneath, your your fire will cleanse you of your obsession and destroy them all, leaving only the key remaining. It is also the key that will bring you closer to the man accountable for taking your child. He doesn't have much time. Let the games begin. So after the tape plays and the door slams shut, and then the conveyor starts, and we see all this vicious pulp start pouring all over the poor judge, and he's screaming, "Please help me! Please help me!" Despite the fact that Jeff really doesn't want to destroy his son's remains, he finally comes to his sentence, and he go ahead and goes down and lights the incinerator and burns all his son's possessions and gets the key and frees the judge out from that vicious trap. So we do have one guy that's alive. So that was part 2 of Jeff's test. Now we get to the third room, and we see this black guy. He's on this rack thing, and his arms and legs are separated, and his vice is stuck on his neck. And obviously, this is not a great. Obviously, things do not look good for this man. His name is Timothy Young, and he is the drunk driver that killed Jeff's son Denton. And it doesn't look good for him. We don't get a tape in this particular one. All we know is that he only has a few moments once the door slams shut, and next thing we know, we see the device turning, and he starts breaking his arm. Now, over on the side, we see a contraption where there is a shotgun linked to a key. Now, if he gets the key, he can save the guy, but unfortunately, he can also get shot. So, unfortunately, by the time that Jeff gets the key, the judge is in the line of fire. So, by the time Jeff gets the key, he yanks it, shotgun kills the judge, and that's it for the judge. He's dead. But by the time Jeff really decides to go on ahead and save him, because the guy's crying, he's sorry, he's sorry. First his right arm breaks, his left arm breaks. We see his legs are breaking up, and by the time Jeff comes to his senses and says, "I want to go ahead and save him," it's too late. The thing twists his neck and snaps him, and the guy is dead. And that's it for Mr. Timothy Young. So all three people that were responsible for Jeff's son's death, they're all dead. I wonder, does that make him feel happy? I don't know. Uh, Now we're really getting into it between Amanda and Jigsaw. Obviously, Jigsaw and Amanda are not going on the same. Amanda admits to Jigsaw that, hey, look, all the traps that I made, there I killed them all because I don't believe that people are not going to change, and I think they should just die because they're not going to change. Your method is not going to work, and Jigsaw says, nope, that's not it. Your legacy, I'm not going to leave my legacy to a murderer. And when he tells the doctor that she's free to go after saving his life, Amanda refuses to let her go. And then at the same time, we also see someone come into the room, and it's Jeff. Jeff comes to the room, and we get to see a nice show off between the two. And unfortunately, Amanda shoots Dr. Lynn, and that's when Jeff shoots Amanda. And fortunately, this is where another twist comes into the movie. So we're in a huge mess right now. We have Amanda shoots Dr. Lynn. Jeff shoots Amanda. As Amanda is dying, we actually find out that Jigsaw really didn't trust her, and this test was actually for her. It wasn't actually for Lynn. Actually for Lynn, and I believe at the end of the game, Jigsaw brings up a tape recorder, and this is what he says. So Amanda's dead. She eventually dies, and then Jigsaw tells Jeff, Jigsaw tells Jeff that he has a choice. He has a choice to save the life if he can just forgive him. And then Jeff says, you know what, I forgive you, but then he takes a hacksaw and slashes Jigsaw's throat, killing him instantly. Unfortunate. So unfortunately, by the time he realizes that his wife is dead, Jigsaw, he is dead, and of course that sets off to her device, and the thing goes off, and it blows her face off. Before Jeff can do anything, unfortunately, the doors close, and Jigsaw tells him that this is his tomb because he didn't follow the rules, and that basically is the end of Saw 3. So I was a bit surprised by the ending of it because Amanda's dead and Jigsaw's dead. Is that how they're going to end this series? Well, we all know that certainly didn't happen. Like I said, I thought this movie kind of fell a bit flat to me. I could understand the emotional part of this show, and even the writers, Lin Winnow, said that they wanted to do an emotional scene. That's why some of the traps were changed to make it more emotional instead of just bloody. I believe one of the traps was supposed to be where the person is suspended in air instead of in the cold. But they decided that no, we want the trap to be more emotional instead of just bloody. And they did do that because you do feel sorry for Jeff. And of course, like I said, the twist is unfortunately that Jeff and Lynn are married. They're a married couple. She started cheating on him, and he wanted more vengeance. So they kind of and they ignored their daughter. Jigsaw also tells them that he abducted their daughter. Of course, we find out later in the show what happens to her. But unfortunately, Dr. Lynn is dead, Jigsaw is dead, Amanda's dead, and Jeff's trapped in that whatchamacallit, man. We don't know what's going to happen to him. Well, we do, but we don't know what's going to happen. But that's why I believe that with this particular movie, it had some very good traps. I like the rack trap. That was very grimy, very bloody scene, very painful scene. I really felt sorry for the kid. I'm pretty sure that he did not mean to have a one. And I know he didn't go out to dance. You know, like I'm gonna hit a kid, and he died a very horrible death. Well, they all did anyway. I mean, the dude gets free, the judge gets free, and only to die of an accidental shotgun blast. But you know, you really feel sorry for some of these characters, and I thought that's what they really set out to do, was to make this more emotional, instead of just being, hey, look, we'll just put these people in some violent traps and kill them. So I give Lin Winnow and James Wan credit, but like I said, probably not one of the better Saws, but it was good enough. So what do you think about this Saw 3? Do you think it's one of the better Saws, one of the worst Saws? How would you feel about it? Have you seen this particular, have you seen Saw 3? Comment down in the comment section below and let me know, and we'll talk about it. Once again, I believe this is one. This was not one of the better ones, not one of the worst ones, but I believe it was a fair entry into the Saw franchise. And again, I believe this is the one where they started making the saying, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. If it wasn't this one, it'll definitely be 4. Well, that's it for Saw 3. I hope you guys really enjoy it. I'll try to get Saw 4 up before the end of the week, as I will continue my Saw series once again up into leading to Jigsaw, because this is what I want to do for Halloween. So I hope you guys are really enjoying it. If this is your first time here, please like and subscribe as well. And also don't forget to ring that bell. That way you can be notified anytime when I put up new content. That way you can become part of the horror experience with me, the Horror Mizamani G. Also, all my social media links will be in the description below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Mizamani G. And always remember that horror rules.